It's July 15th, JLD here, and welcome to MSTR today. In this show, we talk about 4,225 Bitcoin ripped out of circulation forever. We also talk about the strategy treasury operations, what's going on with those specifically. Also, how strategy now holds over 3% of all Bitcoin, period. End of story. Strife, Strike, and Stride. How did they do last week? We talk about that. Nothing in this video is financial advice. Please do hit that like button. It really means a lot. And let's dive on in. Okay, today's first post from Michael Saylor. He wants us to know that Strategy has acquired 4,225 Bitcoin for $472, $472.5 million. Who is he? JLD buying $210 a day? No, he's Michael Saylor buying $472 million a day at 111,827 per Bitcoin. He achieved a Bitcoin yield of 20%. Year to date, we crossed the 20 percentile mark. I love it. We now hodl 601,550,000 Bitcoin acquired for 42 billion at 71,000 per Bitcoin, and all four ATMs were working. We'll get into more details on that later. Ragnar had a great summary of the SEC filing for July 14th, which I loved. Number one, 330 million was raised from MSTR ATM at $418 per share on average. That's 17.78 billion capacity remaining on that ATM. Number two, 71 million was raised from the Strike ATM at $123 per share on average. New record, 20 billion capacity remaining. Three, 55 million was raised from Strife ATM at 124.55 per share on average. New record, 1.88 billion capacity remaining. And then number four, 15 million raised from Stride ATM at $94 per share on average. New record, 4 billion remaining. In total, Strategy raised 141 million from the preferreds and continues to harvest juicy Bitcoin torque. New record, 7.35 billion annual run rate for the press currently. Now we're talking 13.57 billion of additional debt capacity remaining under their 42-42 plan, and some other juicy things here. But I think the most important thing that I want you to take away from this is new records are being set by Strategy, and they won't be set every week, of course. It's impossible to keep going up and to the right forever, but they are cooking. Things are moving. Michael Saylor wants us to know that last week, Treasury operations generated a Bitcoin gain of 2,485 Bitcoin worth 291 million for MSTR shareholders. I just want to be the first to say, and probably not the first, but let me just be one of the first to say, thank you, Michael Saylor, for this. As a MSTR shareholder, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I love this. When the Bitcoin price was at 117,000, which is it seems to be at about right now at the time of this recording, the Bitcoin gain was 24.85. So exciting times all around. Strategy says, Strategy never stops stacking. We now hodl 3% of all Bitcoin in circulation, and you can just see them from Q3 2020 all the way to now. They just keep stacking, and I've been a part of their stacking since about right here. So I've seen them almost triple their stack, which has been quite a fun ride. Chris says, Amazon redefined commerce, Apple redefined computing, Google redefined search, Facebook redefined relationships, Netflix redefined entertainment, Spotify redefined music. Strategy is currently redefining finance. End of story. And of all these things, I'm pretty pumped that my investment is in the finance side of things. Ben Workman says, notice anything? 444,000 shares for 44.4 million notional value. We see you, Saylor, legend. And of course, he CC's at Josh Mandel, who called the 84,000 Bitcoin price on an exact date back in March, and also called for a 444,000 Bitcoin price in 2025. So only time will tell. Only time will tell. Chris says, weekly Strike, Strife, and Stride ATM proceeds. Summation, higher. As you can see, higher for Strike, higher for Strife. And then Stride has now entered the building. So we've got all three of these ATMs plus the fourth MSTR Common ATM working. Life is good. And I just like to see this. This is what I want to see now as we're going. It's not going to be, again, up and to the right forever, but I mean, it's going to be hopefully a nice gradual climb to the right. And Jeff said, the world's first quadruple threat ATM in action, 472 million raised last week. I'd venture to guess based on the Bitcoin acquisition price, the MSTR common ATM may have only been used one day last week. The big volume day ranked 6th. Interesting stuff. Thanks for sharing this, Jeff. And we have some great Michael Saylor video clips coming up. So sit back and enjoy.
And of course, that makes Bitcoin the best asset class. It's an entire ecosystem of products, services, companies, securities, derivatives, and professions. It's the global digital asset network. It's the internet of money. It's the securities, or Bitcoin-backed securities, are being issued worldwide, everywhere, at an accelerating rate. This year, right, you saw an explosion of spot ETFs in the US, but look at all the ETFs in Hong Kong. Look at all the ETFs in Europe. This is the beginning, right? You're going to see more and more and more. Every one of these companies is joining the ecosystem. They're securitizing. And it's not just this MicroStrategy security. Options are security. There are options and derivatives on the securities. There are bonds on the securities. This is exploding. It'll continue. Every Bitcoin miner is a security. One day there'll be 1,000 securities or 10,000 securities, all backed by Bitcoin. Same with corporate treasuries. Bitcoin treasuries are growing rapidly, right? They keep this chart up every month. It's never declining. The chart's not ever decreasing. It only goes one way. Bitcoin is a capital ratchet. It's a one-way ratchet, right? Archimedes said, give me a lever long enough and a place to stand and I can move the world. Bitcoin is the place to stand. The leverage is coming via all these securities, all these corporate treasuries, right? And the leverage is getting to be extreme. MicroStrategy showed you how you can actually generate performance with leverage, but we're just the first, we're not the only. You could do it 10,000 more times. The more leverage that gets put on this network, the bigger the network's going to get.
When it comes to my assets, diversification is key. I don't want to be over leveraged in any one thing. I mean, yes, I own MSTR and it makes up a large part of my portfolio, but I also own Bitcoin and always will. And now, thanks to my new sponsor, BitIRA, you can own Bitcoin in a tax-sheltered retirement account. BitIRA has been around for almost 10 years. As one of the trailblazers in alternative IRAs for crypto, they have built the world's most secure digital IRA. Here's why you'll love them. End-to-end insurance, highly secure storage, multi-encryption, and registered with the US government. And it's fully IRS compliant. If you have a 401k from an old employer or an IRA gathering dust and you'd rather have that retirement account converted to an IRA in Bitcoin, BitIRA will help you convert it free of taxes or penalties. Best of all, you can trade crypto within your retirement account without taxes incurred on any buys or sells. Just go to bitira.com/JLD and request a free info guide. Once you do that and open your IRA, you'll get a free ledger. Again, that's bitira.com/JLD to open a tax-sheltered IRA in Bitcoin.
And God says, okay, I've decided to solve your problem. I'm going to run a bank in heaven. I'm going to issue 21 million God coins, and they're infinitely dividable. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this for you for just about nothing. And you can telepathically move the coins between each other to pay off your debts. And I'm going to make sure that no bank, no government, no counterparty, no country, no criminal takes your money away from you. And I promise never to inflate it. I'm just going to, so there's your money. There's your bank. It's a bank in heaven. Right. And a person can hold a gun to your head, but you've got the money in your head and the angels will, protect you. They might murder you, but they're not getting your money. So if I thought about that, I'm thinking, okay, God is going to run an honest bank for me. Okay, good. That's probably good. But in the absence of God offering to run the bank, and protect your property rights forever from everybody, the next best idea is we create a piece of software using cryptography, and then the software instantiates in the protocol 21 million coins, subdividable, by 100 million. So 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis. Which is effectively enough. You could subdivide it more if you needed to. We create that system, and now you can send 1,000, 100, a million, a billion, 10 billion, $100 billion worth of that from anybody to anybody without asking anybody's permission using a computer. You can hold $1 million in your head, $1 billion in your head. You can hold it in your hand. If you know you're going to get arrested, you can just zap it to your sister in Singapore. If you don't trust the bank in New York, you can put it with the bank in London, right? And if you don't trust any bank, you self-custody. That's Bitcoin. And our first challenge was to develop a set of metrics that you could use to value BTC-backed equity. And because you're on a Bitcoin standard, simple USD, US dollar accounting doesn't really work, because US dollar accounting is geared toward companies that generate their earnings via operations. And so, we created BTC yield, which is basically the accretion of Bitcoin per share in a percentage. And the idea of that is, if you've got a 20% BTC yield, you could put a multiple of it on it like 10, and you could come to a 200% premium to NAV. It's a very simple way to get to what should the premium to NAV be. Well, it comes down to whether the company generates 220% yield or 10 or 200% yield, right? And a bond that pays 200% interest after tax is worth a lot more than a bond that pays 5% interest after tax, right? So the yield metric was an equity metric. BTC gain or dollar gain is an equity metric. BTC dollar gain is basically the earnings equivalent for a Bitcoin company. It's on a Bitcoin standard basis. If you generated $100 million of BTC dollar gain, it's like $100 million of after-tax earnings. It goes direct to shareholder equity. It bypasses the P&L. But a company that can generate $1 billion of BTC dollar gain is like a company that generates $1 billion of earnings, right? And you could use a P to E on that and say, well, I'll assign a P to E of 10 or 20 or 30 or whatever times that gain, and that gives me an enterprise value for the operation and their ability to do it. Now the question becomes, how do you generate BTC yield, and how do you generate BTC dollar gain or BTC gain? And there's three obvious ways to do it. One way is operating cash flows. I take my operating profit and I sweep it into BTC, and that becomes a yield, and that becomes a gain. That is, I have $100 million of operating cash flow and I buy Bitcoin with it. Then I have $100 million of BTC dollar gain without any shareholder dilution, right? And so that's one way to do it. You need an operating company that generates a lot of cash to do it. The second way to do it is if you sell equity at a premium to NAV. When you're selling $100 million of equity at a 2M NAV, then you capture a $50 million BTC dollar gain. And of course, if you sell equity at a discount to MNAV, you're actually diluting the shareholder. So you would have a negative yield, a negative gain. I think the reason that BTC yield and BTC gains matter is it's a very simple, transparent, instantaneous way for an investor to see whether the management team took an accretive transaction or a dilutive transaction.
And there you have it, another episode of MSTR today. And it's a little later than usual, but I wanted to give a couple days of breathing room for this nice run up before we show some pretty cool numbers. So I did the full update from my DCA purchase, my dollar cost average purchase of every single trading day of 2025. Here's the results so far. As you can see, I now have over 82 shares. My average cost per share is $337 by trading at $210 every single day. Not trading, by the way, buying $210 every single trading day of 2025. My cost has been $27,716. The market value is now over $37,000. The day gain was 3.78%. But what's more important is, what's the total percentage gain? 33.5%. That is my total current gain from dollar cost averaging every trading day of 2025 for a total dollar gain of $9,284 I've made since the start of the year. Of course, after open today, it's likely to be down a little bit because the market's had this nice little retracement, but pretty exciting stuff here, as you can see. As I go down, and you kind of keep your eyes maybe on this column of my percentage gain, everything's in the green for the entire year, some more than others. Here's a 77% gain right here back when I bought at $253. Pretty crazy day there. You can see as I go all the way down here, just a fluctuation of the ups and the downs all the way back to January 2nd when the price point was $307. So there I am here. Exciting times. And I will say this is, to me, just a testament of it's all about time in the market, not timing the market. We don't know what the market's going to do. A lot of people went super leveraged long in this last couple of days because they thought the market was just going to go up forever. And of course, now they're flushed out. It's time in the market, not timing the market. There's no reason or need to time the market, in my opinion, because 1% of days is when 90% of gains are made. And I will be part of that 1% of days. I hope you will as well. It's inevitable where we're going. There's going to be ups and downs, just like I said yesterday. It's just a fluctuation of the market. The volatility is part of the game that we're playing here. I know it's inevitable. You know it's inevitable. Michael Saylor knows there is no second best.
What's the second best? There is no second best.